Hello and welcome to Totally Connected, your window into New Zealand's tech frontier, brought to you by Entelar Group, the total connection company covering distribution, integrated end-to-end supply chain, IT field delivery and services, and more. I'm Jonathan Cotton. Thank you for joining us on this podcast. We're going to be diving into the exciting world of information technology, connecting with some of the top tech experts out there, and throwing open the doors to Entelar Group, an amalgamation of three companies shaping the landscape of New Zealand's IT industry. Now, in this very special first episode, we're going to be checking in with Entelar Group CEO and tech veteran Rajesh Singh. With more than 17 years industry experience, Raj is Entelar Group's Chief Executive Officer, and he's the man responsible for driving the organisation's strategy, culture, and growth. It's going to be fun. So without further ado, let's get into it. Hello, Raj. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you, Jonathan. Thanks for having me.
Hey, the pleasure is all mine, Raj. Now, it's been a busy little while at Entelar. There's lots going on and there's lots for us to get into. I guess the best place to start is with a little bit of a history. Tell us, how did you get into technology?
Thank you, Jonathan. So I've been in the tech industry for over 25 years, originally from South Africa, and worked in telecommunications there for 10 years prior to coming to New Zealand. Arrived in New Zealand in 2009 and landed my first job at Telecom, which is now Spark, and have been in the Spark Group since 2009. I've held various roles, but the last role that I had prior to joining Entelar Group was the value management lead, and that comprised of various different functions, including commercial, partnerships, supply chain, as well as devices, and capital and investments as well.
So you've got a very strong technology background, obviously. How did you then come to be at the helm of Entelar?
So my journey with Entelar started way back in 2016 when we formed an organization called Connect 8, which was a JV between Spark and Vocus. And that organization morphed from just a fiber build company to mobile and infrastructure build. And in addition to that, I was also involved in the old Telegistics organization, which then became Entelar, and that became an IT distribution company. So back in 2022, when we decided to bring all of these entities together, I had the background and the history of working with these entities, so it just made sense for me to sort of create a new organization that incorporated all of these different parts of the business.
Okay, great. So tell us a little bit about Entelar. What does it comprise of? What's its focus? And what is it that makes Entelar special in the market?
So when we decided in 2022 to bring these entities together, which was the old Entelar company, Connect 8, and parts of Spark, and formed the Entelar Group, there were different parts of the organization, but a lot of it was quite adjacent to each other. One of the key areas that we were focusing on was our infrastructure build, which was fiber, mobile, and then field services, which is everything we do in a customer premises that relates to IT. And on the other side of the business, which was a distribution company, predominantly in the IT area, we brought that together and then incorporated our consumer electronics part of the business as well, which is mobile handsets and general consumer electronics that you would generally find in a Spark store. So when we decided to bring all those entities together, we created two go-to-market opportunities. One is a distribution, which is ICT distribution and consumer distribution. And the other part was infrastructure and IT services build. And that's our two go-to-market opportunities that we take out into the market.
So what are some of the challenges that come along with bringing these disparate companies together into one entity?
I think having to bring three different organizations with three different cultures and people, I think that was our priority in terms of making sure we took people on the journey. And then everything else around what would have been a startup and an ongoing operation at the same time. Systems, processes, procedures, all of those sorts of things, trying to amalgamate and bring that all together had its own challenges as well. But we worked through that, and it's still work in progress. We're never done with improving our processes and procedures, but we've made a lot of traction over the last year and a half.
Yeah. Oh, fantastic. So it has been a busy sort of 12 or 18 month period, intense growth from you guys, brand building for Entelar Group. What have been the mechanisms behind that? What's been driving the growth?
Okay. So, with the Entelar Group being slightly independent, although we are 100% owned by Spark, we have the ability to work with a broad range of customers across New Zealand, including the other MNOs and not only Spark. That growth's been triggered by the fact that there's more demand. There's a lot of sites that need to be built in New Zealand. The IT industry is booming and has always been booming. And we found a niche area to play in terms of the services that we provide. And we're very, very sort of open to working with different customers and opening up our customer base at all times as well.
Right. So what are the big trends? What are the big industry trends that Entelar is tapping into to drive what you're doing?
Well, all of the mobile operators across New Zealand are upgrading and have been on a journey to upgrade their infrastructure from 4G into 5G. There's a lot more sites that need to be built, and in general, telecommunications infrastructure needs upgrading in certain parts. So whether it's building fiber or access networks, or even transport networks, there's a lot of opportunities for us that we've looked at to the market, and we've been taking advantage of those opportunities. And with a lack of resource that's available in the New Zealand market, it opened up an opportunity for us to go in and really, bring some really good talent into the country, train some local talent, and be able to provide those services to all of the MNOs and the tower owners in New Zealand as well.
Right. Great. Yeah. Part of that growth has been a growth in staff, hasn't it? How many people would you say you've brought on in the last, say, 12 months?
So when we set up Entelar Group, we had just over 350 people. And over the last 18 months, we've grown to just over 500 people. And that growth's been more on our field teams that are delivering services to our customers across the country. And these services range from, like I said, fiber delivery or mobile build and IT services as well. And we've expanded out into the utilities area, supporting some of our utility providers in New Zealand.
Right. So how has it been sourcing skills, technology skills in New Zealand? You often hear the story that, there's a skill shortage in New Zealand, especially in technology. So is that something you encountered during this time?
Yes. So, straight after COVID, and that's when, Entelar was born,
Yeah.
there was a massive lack of resources available in the country for the growth. So when we looked at our forecast over the next sort of 2 to 3 years, we were not going to cope with the number of people that we had. So we went offshore, brought a whole bunch of people over, got them trained, got them sort of inducted into New Zealand from a culture perspective, from a health and safety perspective, and got them onto the tools as quickly as possible. But that was not sustainable. We could not keep bringing people from offshore. So we've also set up a program to start training individuals in those scarce resource areas, and have been working with institutions as well, bringing on trainees and apprentices into the workforce. And that's an ongoing process that we'd be undertaking over the next year or two, as well as, as the workload starts to plateau.
Wow. So, okay. So, just on that, I was doing a little research just before we jumped on the line, and I came across the number that the team has over 54 different nationalities in it currently. Is that right?
Yeah, that's correct.
Wow.
Not by design, it just organically happened. Something that we're really proud of, actually, because we get to celebrate a diverse group of people that brings in different skill sets, different characters, different, backgrounds, and it's really embraced in the organization. It's really celebrated as well. And it's something we're really proud of.
Oh, great, great. So, in addition to the benefits of having the multicultural workforce and having that sort of diverse range of thought, are there any challenges for organising these disparate nationalities?
No, not really. I think we've got a good set, or we've got a good understanding of the different teams across our organization. And as much as possible, we try to accommodate all of the different nationalities. So we do celebrate the fact that we have 54 different nationalities, and that's something we're really, really proud of. We will always embrace that. And yeah, having 54 different nationalities, you can't celebrate every single one of those.
Yeah.
But the teams do a pretty good job of organizing and making sure that it's all either celebrated or respected in some shape or form.
Right, very nice. So you mentioned that Entelar Group is currently working with, say, tertiary institutions to grow and enhance that talent pool, yeah?
Yes, we are. And we've brought a couple of apprentices as well, got them on the tools, and that's been going really well.
and we'll continue to use those institutions to try and help develop and help bring people into the workforce. People that would not necessarily would have thought of the different opportunities that exist within the organization. So there's a bit of work that we need to do to get out there, but more educating the institutions, talking to student and open days, sharing as much as we possibly can, because we've got a wide range of different skill sets that we can bring in, at an apprentice level, from IT services through to complex network design and build. And we want to embrace that opportunity to be able to train and create opportunities in New Zealand.
Yeah, and taking those proactive steps sort of, it builds up over time, doesn't it? And helps sort of strengthen the industry as a whole.
Yeah, and we have to do it. If each organization does their part, we will get there.
Yeah, nicely put. Now, one of the things, when you and I were speaking last week, one of the things that struck me was just how much you talked about people when you were talking about the Entelar Group. So it seems as if it really is a people-centric group. So I guess my question is, you've got this highly distributed workforce. You've got 500 people-ish all around the country. How do you maintain that sort of people-centric view and values when it's, it's a very spread out business with, lots of people remote out there?
Yes, you're right. So we've got teams all across the country from the north right down to the bottom of the south. And we try to make sure that we are reaching out to every possible team member, whether it's the guys that are on the field or, working on state highways. There's a lot of presence from either myself or my teams quite regularly visiting the teams on the ground, making sure that we're listening, understanding, and making necessary changes while listening to the teams on the ground. It's important for us to be able to have an open channel of communication, and we communicate quite regularly as an organization. We get together for a call at least once every month for a town hall, as an example. The lead team and myself are out on the field very regularly. We try to visit as much as the regional offices as we possibly can as well. And it's just about talking and communicating and engaging on a one-on-one to these teams. I think that's really, really important. And that's quite important for us because, having a large organization doesn't necessarily mean you can't engage with the different parts of the organization and the different levels. And that's something that I think we do quite well across my team as well, is engaging right through the ecosystem of our organization.
Yeah. So, when you are reaching out, you've got these open channels of communication, you're touching base with people in the field. What are the issues that come up? What feedback do you get? What things do people want to talk about?
So the feedback that they provide us is actioned. And the fact that, they know that this is actioned, they feel that whatever feedback they're providing is valuable, and hence they will continue to provide that open feedback as well. So, taking feedback and doing something with it is far more valuable than, waiting to look at process improvement or other efficiencies. Hearing it straight from the teams on the ground has been fantastic for us.
Right. Great. Hey, now there's another thing I wanted to ask you about. I know that Entelar Group is taking steps to promote, a more gender diverse workforce and workplace. What are the specific challenges that come along with doing that when you've got this distributed workforce, when you've got so many people out in the field and out in these, traditionally male-dominated spaces?
I think what we are trying to do differently is to make sure that we are creating an environment where females would feel comfortable working in the workforce. Whether we are laying fiber on state highways or, setting up a mobile cell site, the facilities need to cater for females as well. And that's been an excuse in the past as to why we couldn't have females on the workforce. But we've gone beyond that, made allowances for that, catered for that, and creating that environment for females to work in. But that's not only on the field force, but it's in the IT services area. The way we advertise and the way we allow for females to know that they can apply for roles that have been previously male dominated. And that's something that us and our people and culture teams are working quite closely with our hiring managers as well.
Yeah.
So there is an absolute recognition within the teams that we need to be doing something. So we are working through it. We are making slow progress. And what's pleasing to see is that the organization has bought into the fact that we need to do something, and that something has been actioned, but it will, it's still work in progress. There's a lot more that we could all or should all be doing still.
Yeah. Is it a challenge to promote that organizational sort of mindset, or is everybody just, ready to go and open and embracing?
I think initially it was a challenge. It was, wonderings as to how it could be practical or possible on the field. And as we worked through debunking some of this or creating a different environment, these have now gone away. And there is a very strong desire for everybody to participate and make sure that we are creating and setting the environment for females to succeed in those areas as well.
Great. Okay, so changing tack a little bit here. I know that Entelar Group has been through some pretty significant structural changes over the last little while, bringing these teams together. Why don't you tell us a little bit about what's happened and some of the challenges that you've faced there?
So, Jonathan, yes, we have gone through a bit of an operating model change in the organization. When we brought Entelar Group together, we brought all three entities as is, as to not to disrupt any of the in-flight projects at the time. After operating for just over a year, we had to reassess areas that we could be providing a bit more efficiencies to ourselves as well as to our customers. And we realized that we needed to be a bit more clear about what we were taking to market and how we were delivering those services. This operating model change kind of separates the organization into two distinct go-to-market opportunities. The one is around our infrastructure and network design and build, and the other is around product and services. So the network design and build is more around, the fiber delivery, mobile delivery, and all of the other network type services that we provide. And the product and services is all of the IT, hardware, software, as well as the consumer electronics that we get out into the market as well. And that's then supported by all our support functions, from commercial through sales and marketing, as well as finance and HR and legal. So it's a bit more streamlined, less sort of silos in the organization. And this has already, shown some really good results in the way that we're showing up to customers, in the way we're delivering services as well.
Yeah. So, I mean, is one of the key goals of Entelar Group to sort of just keep building on that synergy between those core offerings?
So absolutely, we're really clear around the products and services and opportunities that we have to offer to customers. So this allows us to be really, really clear on our plan forward as well.
Yeah, great. So, okay, so you've got this great team in place. You've been through this significant period of change. I guess now's the time to talk about, people talk about big, hairy, audacious goals. The bags. Do you have one for Entelar Group? I mean, what's the vision of the group, and what do you want ultimately Entelar Group to become?
I'd love to see us double our size over the next 3 to 5 years, both from a revenue, people size as well. We've demonstrated our capability into the market, and we want to grow and be one of the biggest distribution companies in New Zealand, as well as one of the biggest delivery companies in New Zealand as well. I think we're making some good strides in getting there. The team's all aligned in terms of our growth plan and strategy. We want to continue that growth spurt that we have since inception. And we've got the support as well from the market. So it's been really good for us.
Right. So what's the key to pulling it all off? Is it just a case of continuing to do what you're doing, or have you got some sort of tricky strategic moves coming up?
No, we got to keep doing what we're doing. We got to find efficient ways of doing things, create efficiencies for our customers, and we should be a partner of choice for our customers. And we're making some really good inroads in getting there. For a company that's as young as we are, some areas we mature, and we'll continue to grow that maturity, and we'll always keep looking for efficiencies to providing those values to our customers.
Great. Okay, so looking back over the last, say, 12 months, this last 16 months, what are some of the big wins that you sort of recognise there, Raj? What's worked out well?
I think, Jonathan, if you look around the organisation, forming a new company, creating a whole new brand, getting our sort of organisation ready, a standalone company in its own right. The team has done an incredibly good job of, one, the rebranding. Our Entelar brand is pretty much out there, from vehicles to offices to people proudly wearing, the branded uniforms or branded apparel. The team's done an incredibly good job getting the Entelar brand out there. That's something everybody in the team is really, really proud of. And the growth that we've had over the last 18 months has been phenomenal. And We've had some really good customers supporting us through the journey as well. We obviously Spark's a massive big customer of ours, 2 Degrees, Connexa. So we've had some really good inroads with some key strategic partners with us. In our distribution business, we've had lots of support from the likes of, Cello and Lexel and NetQ. So we've really had some really good support from our core customers that have made us successful, and we continue to work closely with them. But it's a journey, and it's something that the team will keep striving, to achieve as well.
Very nicely put, Raj. Hey, we're almost out of time. Last question here. Tell me a little bit about Entelar's sustainability initiatives. What's going on? What are your goals here?
As part of the growth and growing the organization and growing revenue and all of those key areas, which is an absolute for most organizations, we also take sustainability quite seriously as well. So we support a program called Recycle a Device, and Recycle a Device is when organizations no longer have use for laptops. We bring them into, with a company called Recycle a Device, bring them into our facilities, have them refreshed, new software flashed, and then find new homes into communities that deserve them as well. And that's something we've been working quite closely with Recycle a Device on. Our teams use their volunteer days to go out and build infrastructure. We supported Waikato Rugby Club as an example to build some flood lighting infrastructure, and the teams used all of their volunteer days to provide services, into facilities or creating facilities as well. So, the team is really, really involved in creating new opportunities. And in addition to that, we've launched our own solar brand called Entelar Energy, which is a solar offering. So we offer solar inverters and batteries, and soon be launching car chargers as well. And these cater for solar opportunities for residential through to enterprise, as well as solar farm capability. And as part of our sustainability journey and taking organizations with us on the sustainable journey, this is going to help a lot of organizations think differently about renewable energy as well.
Good stuff. Hey, we're out of time. Thank you very much, Raj, for taking the time to talk to us. And thank you too, dear listener, for tuning in. If you like what you've heard here, please like or subscribe if you haven't already. And if you've got some feedback for us, don't hesitate to drop us a line. I'm Jonathan Cotton. This is Totally Connected, the podcast brought to you by Entelar Group, the Total Connection Company. And that's a wrap. See you next time.